Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about how Elemental Shaman is doing 1 week into 10.1 in both Avarice the Shadow Crucible and Season 2 of Mythic Plus. Now, over the course of the past PTR cycle, Elemental saw a lot of ups and downs, nerfs and buffs, and it all culminated in a massive nerf to our new tier set as we were just about to go into 10.1. So a lot of the Elemental Shamans that I talked to were fairly apprehensive about how Elemental was actually going to be doing once 10.1 got here, and now that we are a week into it, I can safely say that Elemental is looking quite good so far. It's looking quite strong, not overpowered, nothing too crazy, but definitely in a very strong place for both Raid and Mythic Plus. And we'll start talking about Raid first. And even though neither Liquid nor Echo used an Elemental Shaman in their first and second kills of Mythic Sarkarath, Method did use one all the way through their progression, and so is obviously Big Dumb Guild with Nasum using an Elemental Shaman as well. So the World 3rd and probably World 4th when Big Dumb Guild kills it will have had an Elemental Shaman present on those kills. So that's probably the best that Elemental has done as far as representation at the top in quite some times, probably all the way back to Mythic Unat, but that was not like a full tier, so probably before that, maybe Battle for Dazara lore. That's as best as my memory can serve for that. But it seems like Elemental's in a good place where it's actually being considered for the Race to World first. I know that Max did say something after the raid was over.
Why no Ellie? Ellie was pretty good this raid. The reason we have a really good Ellie player too in Childrill. He had some stuff going on this raid that didn't allow him to be around full time, so we were not planning on him being an option. That's the only reason.
And that's not him saying they definitely would have had an Elemental if Childrill had been more available, but it does sound like that's something they would have at least considered, and that's always going to be a good thing. Now, I know the Race to World First really doesn't matter outside of the top 10 in terms of composition, but it does matter in terms of the way the community perceives us as a spec, because Elemental is more of a niche spec. There's not as many people who play it, and it's always going to be directly compared to how well Enhancement is doing, which is played by a lot more people. So when you look at it like that, hopefully people seeing Elemental played in some of these top tier guilds like Method and Big Dumb Guild will have a positive result on the rest of the community in the way that people view Elemental. If you're in the pug world, if you're like pugging keys or pugging the raid, hopefully this will have ripple effects down in the community where, you know, those pug groups won't look at Elemental as like this pariah and like, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were enhanced, and you get kicked out. So hopefully that will have a positive effect in the community. I know for me, at least in the first week, even without the new tier, Elemental is already very solid in terms of its damage, especially in the single target fights or any time where you can just get pure value out of that. And I know that some people have talked about the Lightning build being less mobile, and it would be less mobile than the fire builds we saw in 10.0, but there's just not a lot of movement that you can't plan for in this raid. So as long as you're planning out your movement, you can get a ton of good uptime and a lot of good damage out of this build even before you get the new tier pieces. So that's definitely looking solid in terms of the raid from right there. In terms of Mythic Plus, Ellie, again, still looking solid. You can bring even more single target to these dungeons, especially for those tyrannical weeks, which is what we started with in week 1, while still bring a ton of damage with hybrid builds, such as the one that we have and the one I have up on screen right now. We just have a lot of damage that we can bring, a lot of different damage profiles, really good AoE, really good single target, and in a pug world, and as well as just in a Mythic Plus setting, we actually do bring a lot of relevant utility that is useful and sought after. Obviously, we have Lust. Ancestral Guidance will be good until it gets nerfed in 10.1.5, but we won't talk about that right now. We have Stun Totems, and we have slows and stuff like that. We have a massive amount of dispels, which will be really good for the afflicted fix once that comes around. Will be very good pickups for afflicted, as well as all shamans for that matter. But Elemental looks to be in a very good place. And then on top of that, even though Lightning has been way more of a focus both in Raid and in Mythic Plus, some of the top shamans, notably Petco, are still playing Wildfire and still getting plenty of good results. So just because Lightning seems to be more popular amongst the raiding group that also does keys, just keep in mind that Wildfire is still seeing play at a very high level. I believe Petco was in the first group to actually time a 23, something like that. I don't remember if that's exactly true, but he's been able to play it at a very high level. And I realize that Petco's on like just a different plane of existence, but you can still get really good results out of Wildfire. You weren't necessarily locked in to Lightning. There are certain dungeons that might be better for Wildfire. I think Brackenhide might be one of those dungeons where you might be able to get more out of Wildfire than you might comparatively get out of Lightning, but you can still play whatever you want. Like if there's a certain build that you like playing more, that you're better at playing, then just go for that. Like if you watch any of my streams, I'll probably be playing mostly Lightning, but that's mainly just because it's easier to just go back and forth between Rating and Mythic Plus, and I just kind of enjoy it. It's something different. I didn't play it at all in Season 1, so it's something different and new to keep things fresh. So in terms of Mythic Plus, we're also looking extremely solid. I think as we go later into the season, we're going to look even more solid because of that utility around the new affixes. So hopefully good things to look forward to there. But yeah, really, really solid all around. So good things on the horizon, I think, for the future. That's pretty much it that I want to talk about right now. Just like a quick update on how Elemental's doing. If you were kind of like holding back on maybe playing it as like a primary alt or even making it a switch to a main, I obviously like playing it. So if it's something that you really enjoy, check it out. See how it's doing. But I think that we're going to be in a good place all tier. This might be actually one of the better tiers for Elemental than we've seen in a very long time, as I said before. So this might be, I can't think of a good rhyme other like Year of the Spear. I don't think we have one of those for Elemental. If you have an idea of what you could call it, you can leave that in the comments down below. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. I stream at Twitch at twitch.tv/Ridmark, so feel free to come check me out there as well. Other than that, guys, that's pretty much it for today, and I will see you in the next video.